All right, welcome to the Explainer. Today, we're diving deep into an incredible story from the Srimad Bhagavatam. It's an epic tale about 10 princes, a trial that lasts, get this, 10,000 years. And it's all about a really profound lesson. What does it actually mean to be a leader? So yeah, what does it take to be a true leader? This story, it really explores that exact question. And it shows us a path to leadership that's, well, it's not about power or who your parents are, not at all. It's about something deeper, discipline, devotion, and a really strong sense of duty. Okay, so let's start at the beginning. Our story kicks off with the 10 sons of a very wise king. His name was Pracinabarhi. And these 10 brothers together, they were known as the Pracetās. Now, it's really important we get a sense of who these guys are right from the get-go. I mean, they weren't just princes because of their family tree. They were totally unified, they were respectful, and they were so disciplined. And these aren't just, nice personality traits. They're actually the tools they're going to need for the absolutely massive journey that's ahead of them. So you'd think the king would just hand over the kingdom, right? Nope. Instead, he gives them a huge challenge. He tells them to perform tapasya. And what's that? Well, it's this period of really deep spiritual discipline, kind of like a spiritual boot camp. What he's teaching them is that real authority isn't something you just inherit. You have to earn it through inner strength and self-control. What a powerful first lesson, huh? So the Pracetās, being the obedient sons they were, accepted the command and set out. But here's the thing. They weren't just wandering around lost. As they were traveling, they met someone, a guide who was about to change everything for them. And this meeting, wow, it is a huge turning point. It's Lord Shiva himself. He sees how sincere and humble they are, and he decides he's going to help them. It's that classic idea you hear in so many traditions. When the student is ready, the teacher appears. And what a teacher to get. And Lord Shiva didn't just point them in the right direction. He gave them something much more valuable, a really powerful tool for their quest. It's called the Rudradita. And this wasn't just a bunch of words to memorize. It was a sacred prayer, something specifically designed to help them focus their minds and purify their hearts. It was exactly what they needed to get ready for the insane task that was coming up. So, armed with this divine prayer, the Pracetās were ready to start the main event, the central trial of their entire journey. And let me tell you, it was a test of focus, endurance, and faith that it's pretty hard for us to even wrap our heads around. Yeah, you're reading that number right. 10,000 years. They went into the ocean, stood in the water, and just meditated on Lord Vishnu, chanting that prayer they were given for 10,000 years. Now, obviously, that number is meant to convey a level of dedication that's just unimaginable. And this is where we see the payoff for that totally extreme dedication. Because they were patient, and this is super important, because they stayed united in what they were doing, they didn't just, kill time. They actually built up this incredible spiritual power. That shared goal, that was the anchor that held them steady through this whole impossible thing. So after this absolutely epic 10,000-year meditation, their devotion was finally rewarded. And not just in some small way. We're talking about the most magnificent way you can imagine. Their efforts, they had gotten the attention of the highest authority. Their sincere, nonstop effort did not go unnoticed. The very being they were meditating on, the whole goal of their devotion, Lord Vishnu actually appeared right there in front of them, in his divine four-armed form, ready to give them his blessings. And he didn't just hand them one little reward. He gave them 4 huge, foundational gifts. First, to always stay united in their purpose. Second, to live a righteous life. Third, to keep that connection to the divine. And fourth, to be successful in all their worldly duties. These were basically the tools they were going to need for the next chapter of their lives. But here's a twist. Their spiritual journey wasn't over. Not by a long shot. In fact, everything they had just gone through, that was all just preparation for the very practical, real-world duty that was waiting for them. So can you imagine? They finally come out of the ocean after 10,000 years, and they find a world they don't even recognize. The whole earth had become this overgrown, impassable jungle. It's a really powerful image, right? It shows what happens when human responsibility is neglected, balance is lost, and nature just takes over. And this right here is such a critical moment. They have this almost limitless power now. They could have done anything they wanted. But what did they choose to do? They used all that spiritual energy they'd built up, not for themselves, not for glory, but for the good of everyone else. They cleared the land so that human civilization could have a fresh start. And their work wasn't done yet. They went on to fulfill their duties in society. They married a woman named Marisha. They had a family. In fact, their son, Daksha Prajapati, played a huge role in helping populate the world. And this teaches us something really important. Having a deep spiritual life and having a responsible family life, they don't have to be two separate things. They can actually go hand in hand and make each other richer. So after they had successfully ruled the kingdom, raised their family, and really checked all the boxes on their worldly responsibilities, the Pracetās knew. They knew it was time for the final and maybe the most important part of their journey. You can really see their whole life's journey as this perfect, logical path, can't you? First, there was the quest to find that inner strength. Then, the intense trial that really forged that strength. After that, the worldly duty where they put it all into practice. And then finally, the return to their ultimate spiritual goal. And this is where we get the story's biggest takeaway. Once all their duties were done, they didn't try to hang on to their power or their wealth. Nope. They just left it all behind to go back to a life of pure devotion. It shows us that in this way of looking at the world, the final goal of life isn't fame or fortune, it's spiritual liberation. So, when all is said and done, what are we supposed to take away from this incredible story? Well, the Prajatas really give us a kind of timeless map for a life of purpose. They show us how things like obedience, unity, patience, and duty aren't just virtues, they're steps on a path toward a higher goal. And as we think about their story, maybe the best question we can ask ourselves is, which part of their journey inspires you the most?